Is there a series more ridiculous than WarioWare? The epitome of silliness, the WarioWare games offer escapism in short form. Rather than giving players 40 or more hours of serious, story-driven gameplay, they provide a couple of hours of pure, fast-paced fun, just for the sake of it. Wario, as a character, has the freedom to be a bit naughty. As Mario's arch-rival, Wario doesn't need to be serious, heroic, or good. He can be chaotic. He can be gross. He can be greedy. Stepping into Wario's world, as opposed to Mario's, gives us a nice break from having to save the world. Again, WarioWare has a purpose beyond providing a quick distraction from life, although it does that very well. It's also the perfect medium to showcase Nintendo's groundbreaking technical innovation. The series acts as a highlight reel for Nintendo hardware, a spotlight for some of the features you may have forgotten from various consoles over the years. WarioWare games are, essentially, a collection of microgames. Lasting around 3 to 5 seconds, they are a pure distillation of basic concepts. Grab this cup, dodge this shark, snip this snot bubble, shave this mustache. It's ridiculous, manic, and mildly stressful, but in a fun way. You can't overthink it. You can only act on instinct. Disarmingly funny, some of the microgames are enough to make you laugh out loud, even if you don't have much time to dwell on them. WarioWare Minigame Mania is the first installment in the series. Released on the Game Boy Advance in 2003, it reviewed well at the time, and it went on to get a multiplayer GameCube remake, WarioWare Mega Party Games. It's also a wild trip. WarioWare has some of the most bonkers characters in the Mario universe, and the whole experience is a short, colorful journey into a strange world. This is expanded in WarioWare Twisted, which arrived a year later. Interestingly, Twisted is one of the few GBA cartridges with built-in gyro and rumble features. Arguably, these features could be written off as gimmicky, but WarioWare Twisted gave them a starring role. Highlighting these neat innovations kickstarted a trend that would continue in almost every WarioWare game to follow. Of course, we can't talk about Nintendo's technical innovations without discussing the DS. Writing this in 2022, it's hard to express to those too young to remember it, and if any sentence makes me feel achingly old, it's that one. I mean, it's a touchscreen. No big deal. Most of us are glued to our touchscreen devices for more hours of the day than we'd care to admit. At the time, though, the DS was groundbreaking, and WarioWare Touched clearly displayed its potential. WarioWare Touched runs like a dream on the DS. The games are divided by the kind of movements the players need to make, tapping, dragging, and drawing circles with the stylus. It also had a selection of microphone-controlled games, where you blow into the mic to clear away dust or blow bubbles. Touched is short but sweet, the perfect game to bring joy to an otherwise boring pocket of time. But the game I'm really excited to talk about is WarioWare Smooth Moves. Released for the Wii in 2006, Smooth Moves is not generally considered to be the best game in the series, but it's the one closest to my heart, and it provided me with some spectacular memories of my friends making idiots of themselves. Smooth Moves encapsulated what the Wii was supposed to be about. More than just waggling the Wii remote from the sofa, this game encouraged you to get up and move your whole body. Each set of minigames requires a different type of movement. The umbrella asks you to hold the Wii remote facing upright in front of your body. The elephant requires you to hold the Wii remote in front of your nose, moving your whole head to complete tasks. The big cheese will see you in a power stance, standing with your hands on your hips, Wii remote held firmly in one hand. It can be tricky to quickly switch from one pose to the other, and certainly pushes Nintendo's players must always wear the wrist strap safety message. But this frantic scramble only adds to the hilarity. New players will encounter a comically sardonic narrator, who will give them a short philosophical musing to go with each pose. So stuck in my mind is this voice, that even now, over a decade later, I can't pick up an umbrella without hearing his drawl. What I love about Smooth Moves, other than the way it so brilliantly shows off the Wii's capabilities when it comes to unique, innovative gameplay, is the fact it's an extremely active party game. Smooth Moves was the kind of game you could stick on with your friends after a few drinks, with hilarious and slightly dangerous results. It's perfectly, excellently silly. The series continued to show off Nintendo's hardware in later games. WarioWare Snapped, 2008, for example, used the camera on the Sea. Or at least, it attempted to do so. The reality for most people was an exercise in pointless frustration. The camera on the Sea struggled to recognize the player's movements, and the game showed ambition that stretched slightly beyond the technical capabilities of the platform. Still, it gave players a nice little glimpse of how ridiculous they looked while completing the minigames, which was a small but funny reward for their efforts. Game & Wario is the next game to showcase Nintendo's hardware this time. For the Wii U, released in 2013, Game & Wario used the gamepad's motion controls, touchscreen, and camera to create an array of minigames that feel a little different to every entry that came before them. Unfortunately, this isn't done perfectly. The minigames, of which there are only 16, in a departure from tradition, are mixed. There are some surprisingly uninteresting ones packed in with moments of sheer brilliance that can only be done on the Wii U Gamer. For example, is a standout minigame in which you play a child trying to hide your late-night gaming habits from your mother. Despite its uneven success, it still manages to highlight the Wii U's more interesting features. WarioWare Gold, which is kind of like a greatest hits album, only for microgames, shows off some 3DS features, like the gyro sensor and stylus, while being a great introductory game for new players, although it's a little repetitive for seasoned WarioWare lovers. But the latest entry, WarioWare Get It Together, is notable because it doesn't involve any kind of hardware gimmick. It changes the dynamic slightly by allowing you to play as different characters, all of which have their own abilities. Like in Smooth Moves, this requires you to think fast as you switch from one game to the other. It has a lot of charm, of course, and plenty of humor, but it does make you wonder, where can the series go from here? The WarioWare series stands out to me for its outstanding creativity. The developers are given a lot of room to work with, and it shows. They have the freedom to be a little edgy and to push the boundaries in the pursuit of fun. Where the series' future lies depends on the future of Nintendo consoles. How many new ideas are there left to explore? Realistically, Nintendo is known for pulling surprises out of the bag, but it's hard to call what its plan will be once the Switch reaches the end of its lifespan. While the rumor mill keeps churning, it's a hard one to call. Whatever happens next, one thing is for sure: if Nintendo continues to surprise us with hardware innovations, WarioWare will be there to show them off, with silliness, laughter, and a little bit of sass. Another fun feature of the WarioWare series is the guest appearances of characters from famous games. Players will notice nods to Metroid, Game & Watch, Duck Hunt, Mario, Zelda, Animal Crossing, Fire Emblem, and more. These are particularly prevalent when the retro-loving characters 9V and 18V appear.